This is a video tutorial for the Happy Days Tulip Hat. It comes in 4 sizes from adult to infant, and this is how you make it. Take your template and cut 6 in outer fabric and 6 in lining fabric. We'll start by making the lining. Place your first 2 cut out pieces right sides together and ensure that the edges and all the sides line up, and when you're happy with that, pop some clips along the one side. Once you've clipped it, take it over the sewing machine and use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, starting at the top, sew carefully all around the curve right to the bottom. Sewn all along, joining the first 2 pieces together. I've used black cotton so it shows up better on the video, but you can use contrasting fabric. I've taken it over to the iron and I've pressed open the seam we've just made. Next, turn over and take another piece that you've cut out and place it right sides together, and as we did before, line up all the sides and edges and clip into place. Once you've clipped it, on this occasion I'm leaving a gap along here for turning. So when we take it out of the sewing machine, we're going to start at the top and stop, and then start again to the bottom and stop. The gap will be used for turning. Again, we'll be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've sewn along the seam, remembering to leave a gap, and now I'm going to take it out of the iron and I'm going to press open the seam as before. I've pressed open the seam and now turn it over and take another piece of fabric and place it right sides together on top, and once again line up your edges and pop some clips along. I've clipped, and now I'm going to sew as we did before, using a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down. I've sewn all the way down, and now I'm going to repeat for the remaining 2 pieces to finish off the lining. Once you've joined all 6 pieces and ironed all the seams open and remembered to leave a gap, it'll look like this, and we're going to put this to one side while we work on the outer of the hat. Now we're working on the outer of the hat. As we did before, place 2 pieces right sides together, match up and line up all your edges and pop some clips along one side. I've clipped it into place, and as we did before, using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to sew all the way down to the bottom. I've sewn all along, and as we did before, I'm going to take it out to the iron and press the seams open. I've pressed open the seams. I'm going to turn it over, take another piece of fabric and place right sides together on top, line up the edges and pop some clips in. I've clipped, and now I'm going to take it over the sewing machine, and again using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all the way down. And on this occasion, for the outer of the hat, we don't leave a gap. I've sewn all the way down, and now I'm going to press open the seams, and then I'm going to repeat for the remaining pieces of fabric for the outer. I've joined all the pieces together and I've pressed open the seams, and now I'm going to turn the outer the right way. I've turned the outer the right way, and now I'm going to take the lining that I made earlier and place it on top, right sides together. Now I'm going to line up the side seams and the edges and put some clips in. I've lined up all the bottom and the side seams, and now I'm going to take it over the sewing machine and use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all the way around the brim. I've sewn all the way around, joining the outer to the lining, and the next step is to clip carefully all around these curved parts to give a better finish when we turn it. I've carefully clipped all the way around the curve, and now I'm going to turn it the right way by pulling through the gap I left. I've turned it the right way and I've carefully pushed out the brim all the way around, and now I'm going to press it and then take it over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to top stitch for a nice finish all the way around. I've top stitched around the brim, and I've remembered to sew up the lining, and that's your tulip hat all finished.